Hey everyone, it's Katie and this is my life with VEDS, aka Vascular Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome. Today I'm going to talk about a second upcoming clinical trial that was announced recently for VEDS. Before I get into this, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you turn on the notification bell, it will let you know when I have new videos. Alright, let's talk about this. In case you missed it, a second upcoming clinical trial for VEDS was announced last week, called the DISCOVER trial. This is for a medication called EDSIVO, otherwise known as celiprolol. You may remember back in 2019, the FDA denied the new drug application, or NDA, for EDSIVO, and they encouraged Acer Therapeutics, the company that submitted the application, to do a clinical trial. So this is that clinical trial, and I'm going to read some of the official press release to you. Okay, Acer is developing EDSIVO, a new chemical entity for the treatment of COL3A1 positive VEDS patients. Acer's EDSIVO NDA, that was the new drug application, was originally submitted based on data obtained from the VEDS trial and accepted for filing in October 2018 with priority review. Following FDA review, Acer received a complete response letter stating that it will be necessary to conduct an adequate and well-controlled trial to determine whether celiprolol reduces the risk of clinical events in patients with VEDS. Acer subsequently appealed the FDA decision. While FDA denied the appeal, it described possible paths forward for Acer to explore. Following its Type B meeting with the FDA in the second quarter of 2021, Acer has decided to conduct a clinical trial for EDSIVO. Okay, so what I get from this is pretty much what I said earlier. Following review, the FDA told Acer it would be necessary to conduct a controlled trial to determine if EDSIVO is effective in reducing the risk of events in people with VEDS, and Acer has decided to do a trial. In the Type B meeting, Acer discussed conducting a US-based, prospective, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled, decentralized clinical trial in patients with COL3A1 positive VEDS and sought the agency's opinion on various proposed design features of the study. Okay, so US-based, double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled, decentralized. That's a lot. Before I move on, let's talk about that a little more. What I get from this is 1, they are planning for the trial to occur in the United States. 2, they're planning for it to be decentralized, meaning there will probably not be travel involved for the study. And 3, they're planning for it to be double-blind, placebo-controlled, and randomized, meaning they're planning for a control group that isn't on the medication. Those people will be taking a placebo. The people who are in the placebo group versus the medication group will be determined at random, randomized, and neither the researchers nor the patients enrolled will know who is in which group, which makes it double-blind. Then the announcement goes on to say they received meeting minutes from the FDA confirming details of their discussion, and then continues. In the second half of 2021, Acer intends to submit a protocol for the prospective study, along with an investigational new drug application, request breakthrough therapy designation, and coordinate with FDA to reach agreement on a special protocol assessment. Based on initial power calculations, Acer anticipates that the trial should enroll approximately 200 COL3A1 positive VEDS patients in the US, and the duration of the clinical trial is estimated to be approximately 3.5 years to complete once fully enrolled. That's a mouthful too, but it looks like this trial might be right around the corner and is estimated to take 3.5 years to complete once it has approximately 200 patients enrolled. And then there's a quote from Chris Schelling, the CEO and founder of Acer. Quote, "We appreciate the guidance and flexibility provided by FDA on the design of this proposed clinical trial. This trial, along with the results from the prior VEDS trial, should answer whether EDSIVO demonstrates substantial evidence of effectiveness by reducing VEDS-related events. Over the next 6 months, we intend to work closely with FDA to finalize the protocol for the pivotal trial, collaborate with VEDS advocacy groups to identify COL3A1 positive patients who may be interested in participating in the trial in order to expedite enrollment, and achieve first patient dosed as quickly as possible. Our progress to date on the EDSIVO program is the direct result of our unwavering and ongoing commitment to patients with rare diseases. We look forward to continuing its development for treatment of VEDS patients who desperately need a therapy." End quote. There is some more in the announcement about funding needs for the trial, a disclaimer about EDSIVO being investigational and not currently FDA approved, and some others. I'm going to leave a link to the press release in the description of this video if you would like to check it out and read the whole thing. It also has a link to a website for more information about the trial, discoverceliprolol.com. On the website, it states that while planning for the trial progresses, they are actively looking for potential participants with a confirmed diagnosis of VEDS who are interested. And it says participation will be subject to some inclusion and exclusion criteria. So here are my thoughts. I think it's really great that Acer is going to do a clinical trial for this medication. There's been some history with celiprolol, and I think a well-done trial is really necessary to determine for sure whether this medication reduces events for people with VEDS. I hope it does, but I think another one of the big takeaways here for me is that there are going to be 2 trials going on for VEDS, possibly around the same time. If you haven't heard about the enzastaurin trial already from A2 Biopharma, I did a video about that one too. If I remember correctly, both trials may need somewhere around 200 patients with VEDS, and that's a lot. Hopefully both trials will be able to enroll enough people, as we really need a proven treatment for VEDS. It would be incredible not to have to worry about major events with VEDS. We don't know yet whether either of these medications really prevent events in people either. That's what the studies are for. And that's why I hope both trials have enough people enrolled to make a difference and give us a clear answer. My fingers are crossed. And my toes. This is really all that has been announced so far, but I am looking forward to more information being released, and I'm hopeful for the future. I put a link to the press release in the description of this video so you can read it for yourself, and I'm really looking forward to more information. In my video about the other clinical trial announcement, I shared how I never imagined a global clinical trial just a few years after my diagnosis, but now I have to say I never imagined 2 clinical trials for VEDS possibly happening at once. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you are excited about more research for our community too. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you soon.